Great news. After 2 months of imprisonment in solitary confinement, Tommy Robinson was freed on bail this morning, which brings a sense of relief to all the decent, moral people who campaigned so hard to overturn this travesty of justice in semi-totalitarian Britain. It also brings a sense of relief to all those who will now be spared having to listen to Raheem Kassam treat Free Tommy Robinson demonstrations as though he was comparing a Live at the Apollo comedy show. But I digress. Tommy's appeal trial was presided over by no less than Britain's most senior judge, Lord Chief Justice Burnett, who ruled that, quote, where a custodial term of considerable length is being imposed, it should not usually occur so quickly after the conduct which is complained of. A sentence of committal to immediate custody had been pronounced within 5 hours of the conduct taking place. End quote. Now this is a serious slapdown to Judge Geoffrey Marson, who had Tommy locked up without even watching the video used to incriminate him. And I don't know if Judge Marson is actually guilty of perverting the course of justice, but I hope he's forced to publicly explain his kangaroo court actions, preferably in court as the defendant. But all in all, this whole sorry episode has been very bad for the British establishment. Now, first of all, they imprisoned Tommy because he was drawing attention to one of the greatest crimes against humanity they were themselves complicit in. And I'm not sure if this actually shamed them, as of course it should if they were even half decent people, but it certainly embarrassed them acutely enough to seek to remove Tommy from the public eye. Well, this has backfired magnificently, hasn't it? Millions of people who were unaware of Tommy, who were unaware of the British establishment's cover-up of thousands of vulnerable little girls raped by gangs of predominantly Muslim men, be they Pakistani or Somali, millions who were unaware of Britain's shameful judicial system, which jailed Tommy in a manner reminiscent of a Soviet show trial. They're now all fully aware of these shameful matters, millions of them, so the left has managed to shoot itself in both feet with a blunderbuss, God bless them. And I wonder how the quisling British media will treat Tommy's release. Now, after he was jailed, they all went to great lengths to justify his imprisonment, but now Lord Burnett has shown this to be a travesty of justice. Will they side with praising the law? After Britain's most senior judge has come down on the side of genuine justice and actually on Tommy's side. Will we now read countless articles from the BBC about why it was right to release him? Well, I rather doubt it. These obscene wretches at the BBC will now be scribbling away trying to cover up their previous behaviour and making themselves an even bigger laughingstock than they already were, which is good news, of course. But it's not all good news. Although the actions of the leftist establishment brought shame upon themselves, they've also brought shame upon their country, and this shame was reinforced by the fact that the prime movers in the Free Tommy campaign did not hail from Britain but from abroad. Not a single so-called human rights organisation in Britain made a case for Tommy. Not a single journalist made a case for Tommy. Not a single member of Parliament made a case for Tommy. The only political leaders in Britain who came to his defence were Anne-Marie Waters of For Britain and UKIP's Gerard Batten. But luckily for Tommy, his jailing led to international outrage, particularly in America and Canada. So now's a good time to thank Ezra Levant of Rebel Media and Daniel Pipes of the Middle East Forum, who worked so hard and raised so much money in order to achieve justice for a man in a different country to theirs. Tommy is freed on bail, so one imagines the conditions will revolve principally around stopping him from embarrassing the traitor class establishment. And of course it's not completely over yet, with a retrial planned for the contempt of court charge. But for now, rejoice in genuine British justice, rejoice in the humiliation of the left, rejoice in the fact that millions more people will now support Tommy, courtesy of leftist stupidity, and finally rejoice for Tommy and his family. Here's to you, Mr. Robinson. Cheers.